Well, I like to start out with a joke, and this morning I want to tell you about a guy that was, it's funny because usually the jokes I tell are true life. And that's really the kind of funniest jokes, I think. But anyway, this guy was single, and he was middle-aged, and he had a good paying job, and was, after church one Sunday, he had been thinking about, for a few weeks, getting a pet, so he wanted to have somebody to talk to at home. So he decided to go to the pet store after church, and the pet store was talking to him about something. The pet store gave an unusual idea for a pet. And he said, the pet store person said, why don't you get a centipede? They're real easy to talk to. And they don't take too much work to keep, and it's really fit his idea of a pet. Not too much work and something you can talk to. So that 100-legged creature he took home in a white box, and that's the box. Anyway, he just fed it a little bit, but he had some holes in it, so they're on the other side. But anyway, took the box home with the centipede. And during the week, first on Monday, he had something really important. He had an important presentation to give to his boss. And so he gave the presentation. He was waiting for that report on how the boss liked it and what was going to happen. So he was kind of antsy during the week, but he'd always talk to his centipede when he got home and say, hey, I really got this. Tell him how his day went, and I got this whole thing going. I'm looking forward to the report and all that stuff. Well, come Friday, he was still waiting for that response from his boss and didn't get it. And so he was real kind of getting a little bit upset that his boss hadn't responded to him, because it usually doesn't take that long. So Sunday, he decides to get up and go to church, and he goes, the centipede says, come on, we're going to go to church. And so he goes in and gets ready, and then comes back by during getting ready and said, come on, let's go, we're going to go to church. And then he finally is ready to go to church, and is kind of angry because the centipede, is the centipede just there. And so he goes, you haven't responded. I said, come on, we're going to go to church. And the centipede, he about fell over when he heard a noise from the box, and it said, take it easy, I'm getting my shoes on.
That's a lot of shoes to put on.
I almost canceled that one, but Francie said, let's go with it. So I don't know. The first time I heard it, I liked it, so I went ahead and went with it. All right. Oh, it's Thanksgiving. I hope everybody can think of things that you are thankful for. And so we have a wonderful feast at the end of service. And I want to say hi to everybody online. If this is your first time, or if you watched many times, I hope that you enjoy it. And come on down and see us one time. Today you're missing out because we got a lot of great food in the other room. But anyway, whenever you get a chance, you're in Conyers, come on and see us. Today's lesson is called, guess what? Thanksgiving. It's a real imaginative name I came up with, and I had to think about it for a long time, but I did come up with Thanksgiving as the title for today's lesson. And really, when we think about Thanksgiving, what we can think about is new beginnings. I always, my personal experience of Thanksgiving is a new start. It's not like, for me, it's kind of like a new year in a way, because it starts a season, in my experience, that is different than the rest of the year, and helps me to focus on some things that I'm thankful for, and to, like Reverend Francie was talking about in the meditation, to focus on some things that I can improve to be thankful on. Some of the times that we have experiences in life where someone gets under our skin and we're not actually feeling like we're thankful for them, that's an opportunity for us to grow, isn't it? Not one that we may think of sometimes, but it is an opportunity for us to grow. Joy and love can fill our life if we want it to. And so when somebody comes to us and, at a Thanksgiving, a family member usually, or wherever, whenever, and kind of touches us the wrong way, we can choose to go down that path and give that our power, or not. We can choose not to give power to that feeling. But what is important is to recognize that feeling and recognize that if it's triggered that easy, then it probably isn't this situation that is the trigger, or is the thing that's in us that's bothering us. It's something that has happened in our past, and we can look back to that and find out what it is. Memories of loved ones who are no longer with us in our physical life is something that I remember sometimes during this time of year. I don't know if you all do or not. Does anybody else think of that sometimes? Yeah. Some do, some don't. But you know, I always remember those because we would always have large family get-togethers at Thanksgiving, and you know, as the years go by, there are different people there, new additions and people that we have loved have made their transition. So it's all that. So it also makes us think, though, where we are in life. When we go back and we start thinking about people who, especially who have made their transition, it makes us think of where we're at in our life and what we want, where we thought we'd be in our life. Thanksgiving is a time usually where when Francie and I taught children's church, we would have people, the children, write down something that they're thankful for, and also write down something that they want in their life. And the next year we would mail it back to them right before Thanksgiving. And I really didn't review all of those, of course, but what I would do, I would make my own. And my own experience has been that all of those things that I wanted for that year were complete by the middle of the year. Maybe sometimes even before the end of the year. So all these things that sometimes when we look back at our life, but the point is that sometimes when we look back at our life and we see where we want to be in life, and we think about that right in the moment, then we think sometimes that that's a high hurdle to jump. Yet, when we write it down or we think about it for a little bit, we recognize in retrospect, when we have that written down, that how quick and easy it was to achieve that. Mm-hmm. Do you follow me?
Yes.
It's a lot easier when we think about it and we realize, especially if we look back, if we wrote down what we were thinking at the time. Because usually when we look back at stuff and we didn't write it down, we'll think, you know, we didn't come as far as we did. But we have. And why I bring that up today is because it's important for us to be thankful for where we are. Because that is one thing for sure, that we cannot grow unless we're thankful where we're at now.
Yes.
Can't do it. I don't know how many, numerous people that I've counseled that have asked for a new job because their job right now is so poor. They don't get along with anybody, their boss is bad, and all this. And when they get a new job, if they leave in that same way, they have the same experience at their new job. I'm not, when I counsel somebody on that, I don't say stay at your job. I say look for the brightness in your job right now. And when that changes, the next step you go to the next job, that will be different and what you're actually looking for instead. Or your present job could change totally. If it's a boss, you could get a new boss. If it's a boss, you could be the new boss. You know, things change, obviously. Mm-hmm. So where do we want to be is important, but if we recognize where we are and where we came from, it's actually more important. Where we want to be. And thank God for some people are just where they want to be right now. They're not, yeah, and that's cool. And being at peace with where you're at is what I'm getting to, I guess, is so important to be at a new place later. A new, bigger, better place. Grateful for all who we love in life is also an interesting idea, because it's easy to love people that we love and receive back love, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Easy to do that, and I think I said this last week, is it's not quite as easy to be grateful for those who give us the opportunity to love them, is it? It's not as easy to do that. Yeah, you know, I always, and I think it's true, y'all tell me what you think, but the old saying, absence makes the heart grow fonder. Really, I found that to be very true in my life. You know, you may think that you don't get along with somebody, but when they're gone, not necessarily transition, but when they move away or something, you think, man, you know, we had some good times together. So what are we focusing on right now? Are we focusing on the good times, or are we focusing on the few times that we don't get along? That's what we got to ask ourselves. Thanksgiving will keep the heart fresh. Oh, this is a the definition for Thanksgiving from Charles Fillmore in The Revealing Word. Thanksgiving will keep the heart fresh, for true Thanksgiving may be likened to rain falling upon ready soil, refreshing it and increasing its productiveness. Thank you. Productiveness. Of course, this leads back to the old saying, the sower of the seeds, in the Bible, where you plant, where you throw your seeds. And even though you may throw them on some concrete sometimes, or the road, where it's not really fertile soil, it wasn't meant to grow things, some of those things still sprout up, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
So, all we do is plant seeds. The heart, also, this is from the Revealing Word, the heart is love, the affectional consciousness of man. It is the faculty through which man receives love from being. What is being? Does everybody know what being is? Remember what being is? It's just being yourself as a spiritual being. It's not anything hard. It's just actually, it's more of a, like Reverend Francie was saying earlier about November is the powerful release. That's really what it is. Being is releasing all those outer things that you're worried about. How am I going to get the rent money? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? We all get caught up in that sometimes, but that's our personality. That has nothing to do with our individuality, with our spiritual self. I don't know how many, reminds me of a joke. How many people took it with them, but this one well-to-do man, and I've told this joke before, I'm sure you've heard it before, but I like it. This one well-to-do man was very, very well-to-do, and he had this pact with his wife. In fact, he said before they got married, he said, listen, no matter what happens, when I die, if you're still around, I want you to put all my money in my casket with me. Yeah, you remember it, don't you? And he said, he said, make sure that happens. In fact, he had her sign a form that said that. And so this lady, her best friend, he made his transition, and he was at the funeral, and the lady said, surely you didn't put all his money in there with him? And she said, I sure did. And she said, well, was it underneath him or something? I didn't see it in the casket. And she said, I wrote him a check. You haven't heard that one before?
You must
Pretty
be
good,
good
and
at
I
it.
like it. These wonderful spiritual ideas come to you at times, don't they? Smart woman. The heart, however, is but the visible expression of an invisible center of consciousness. It is the center from which the divine substance is poured forth. So it is the heart is the center from which God is poured forth. This time of year also, and through Christmas time, you see all the ads for the, and in churches even it happens, see all the ads for people wanting to ask for donations, right? Well, even in church, what I said about church is church has the statistics, what is it? Something like 40% of giving is during this time of year, which is, why do you think that is?
40% of payment.
It's because people are in the mode of listening to their heart and figuring out what is going on. Bill and I were discussing earlier this week when he comes in and does the books. We're talking earlier this week about those two that I don't know if they're husband and wife or boyfriend. I think it's boyfriend and girlfriend, and that homeless guy that did that GoFundMe. You remember that? Did you hear about that? They put out a GoFundMe. The homeless guy gave the woman his last $20 to fill up with gas. This is the story they said. And then she was so moved by it, she put up a GoFundMe for the homeless man, and for $10,000, and it ended up being $400 and some thousand that they got from it. Well, story evolved a few times, but the latest is that all three of them were in on the scam. And so, okay, you had a couple different feelings there, didn't you? The first feeling was, oh man, what a sweet story, that's wonderful. And then the second was, boy, I gave money to that son of... Right? And this is what we have to remember about this. I've used this analogy for different things, but we have to remember what the Spirit was. We gave the gift in. If you give the gift in a loving spirit, then that is what it is going to be. No matter what happens with the money. No matter how a person is acting in life, they have the Christ Spirit within them. And there is something, one of those seeds that we plant, that giving of money or whatever it is, of goodness to that person. One of those seeds is going to touch that Christ Spirit, and that's going to change their life if they're acting in a negative way, right?
Absolutely.
That's how it happens.
Absolutely.
That's how it happens. It's like a critical mass that we are going to reach at some point. It doesn't mean 50.1%. It means however many people are in the thought, the same consciousness that can change the world. That's how the world has always changed. Now, people nowadays can say, well, this is the worst time we have ever had. You know, I so enjoyed my grandparents because I wish that more people, as far as younger generation, would talk to their old elders in their family to find out what they've lived through and just listen and just really take it in, because it's really, really cool. It really is. And they're not making stuff up. You know, I saw the other day, which I shouldn't tell on myself, but my beloved state of Texas, it's been probably a year ago. My beloved state of Texas is the leader usually on textbooks. I don't know why, but it seems like they're always the leader on textbooks. And they make changes all the time. Well, this last change, they made a change that was pulling something out and putting something back into history. So why do I tell you that? Is because we write the history what we want to write it as.
And they've been lying.
And, well, not them, but whoever was taking, wait a second. I hear you. How many people have done something in their life and then later on found out that probably wasn't the right thing to do, and I was on the wrong side of the thinking on that.
Yeah, but they were really lying.
I know most of you haven't, but I have. And let me tell you that experience is kind of like, well, what can I do from here? That's all you can say. What can I do from here? I can go forth. The sad thing about that for me, the sad thing about the GoFundMe deal with that homeless man and the couple is that a lot of people that gave that money are not probably going to give money again. And that's sad. That's sad to turn off that part of you that is love, that heart space of you that says, I can give money because I love the idea of what happened here. And that's what you should go for. I love the idea of what happened there. So let me tell you something else. That lottery winner of $1.5 billion has not come forth yet. What's going to happen to that money? If they don't come forth in a year, what's going to happen? It goes back in the pot. Did you know that? Now don't get excited. I want you to think, though, those of you who bought a lottery ticket during that time, I want you to think about that. I want you to think, oh my gosh, I'm buying this ticket. I got a chance, baby. Even though it's 1 in 322 million or something. You still had a chance, right? And somebody did beat those odds in South Carolina. Bought it in South Carolina. I don't know if they live there. But somebody bought it or did beat those odds, didn't they? So they got that ticket. It was probably if it was Georgia, I'd say it's probably me. I threw it away by accident. But anyway, if somebody beat those odds. So when you think about doing something, or when that person won, though, what do some people feel like? Oh, it wasn't me. Huh? Oh, it wasn't me. When we could shift it and say, wow, all right. That person, finally somebody won it. Yay. I mean, we don't feel that way usually when they just won the $20 million. Do we? They won $20 million. That don't make no difference. I bought a ticket, but it's only $20 million. Right? We can be grateful for not only, but here's how that gratefulness works. We should be grateful for all that we receive in life. And to continue to see the consciousness grow, the race consciousness, we need to be grateful for all that everybody receives in life.
Yes.
Everybody.
Yes.
whether they're the family member that crawls under our skin or not, right?
Right.
We want to see people successful, not only in money, but health. That's an easy one, isn't it? We pray for people, and this church has been great about having health miracles. We don't call them miracles here, but the medical society would call them miracles. The reason is because we believe that it can happen. In fact, we not only believe it, but we know it. We have faith that it can happen. Faith is not believing, like the dictionary says. Faith is knowing that something can happen. And if you go forth knowing that something can happen, it's going to happen. If I go forth knowing that I'm going to have $1.4 billion, but not tie it to the lottery, then that's going to come forth. Believe it or not. This isn't Ripley's either. It is true. I'll go finish that. Everyone uses his heart center when he or she sends forth a loving thought. That's what we're talking about. We're coming from that heart center. And the heart center, don't forget, is where we send out the God stuff from us. As used in Scripture, the word heart represents the subconscious mind. From Luke 6:45, out of the abundance of the heart, his mouth speaketh. So that is getting down to one of the things that we do, physically do, to receive and to love and all that. So what are we speaking? If we use that from the Bible, what are we speaking? Oh, I'll give a good one. This is a real good one. I like this one. When you leave here today, after the food, don't leave before you have food. When you leave here today, go out and say, Warren gave such a great lesson. Instead of, Warren, I'll tell you what, he should have said something else about Thanksgiving. Oh man, I'm going to feel that. Woo! That's fun. I'm looking forward to it. My heart is full of love and thanksgiving. My heart is full, as you say, is full of love and thanksgiving for each of you in our Unity family, which is more than us here today, right?
Yes.
I mean, I'm so grateful that we have the daughter of the founding minister here today. I mean, what a perfect day to be here. What a perfect day to be here. To carry on a tradition that Unity has that we can all share in. It's beautiful, I think. And I hope that you can see the beauty. You know, Aiden, the second, or the oldest of the grandchildren, for Grace, he says beautiful now. And it's so funny, because out of the blue, we'll be driving down the street, and you know how the trees are turning and everything. And he'll say, Mom, oh, it's beautiful. And he says it different than I just said it, but it's so neat to hear a child say that word. And it is. It can be. But it's up to us, isn't it? Whether we make it a beautiful life or a whatever life. I mean, I'm looking at each of you and thinking I'm saying your story, but I'm thinking of your history in life that I know about. And such wonderful things have happened to each one of you since I've been here, since Francie and I have been here, that I know of. And that was only, 7 years ago? So it wasn't that long ago. So I'm so blessed to know each of you, and I've got a song for you that's different.